So we're going to call the East Brandywine Township Board of Supervisors AM meeting Thursday, July 2nd, 2026. A recording device will be in use during this meeting. Opening the meeting with a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment for agenda items. Rules for conduct of public meetings established by Resolution 200108. The time allocated to each individual making a comment shall be 3 minutes unless otherwise set by the presiding officer. Additional public comment may be granted at the discretion of the presiding officer at the conclusion of the meeting. Are there any comments on agenda items? Seeing none, we will move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. Approval of the June 18th, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting minutes. Do we have any questions on those minutes?
No.
I get a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 18th, 2026 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Authorization to pay bills and approve payroll. I reviewed that. Everything looks in order. Are there any questions on it? Seeing none, I get a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and the authorization to pay bills and approve payroll.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, old business, no old business. We'll move on to new business, the annual update for the Downingtown Library.
So I know that there are a number of items in your packet. I also have our latest July program sheet, which we were still finalizing when I sent that in.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so it has been an incredibly busy year at the Downingtown Library. I have this annual sheet in your packet to give you some context for these numbers. So the population served for 2025 was 50,000. That was an increase of 6,000 people from the year before. So I know East Brandywine is building quite a bit, so are other municipalities, and we are seeing those people use the library, which is fantastic, but puts more stress on our space and staff limitations. Our door count was a 6% increase from 2024, as were our circulation totals. So people are checking out more materials, and they're just coming into the library more as well. And our programs, we offered 144 more programs in 25 than 24, which was a 17% increase. And we had a 32% increase in the number of people who came to programs. So that 19,000 people coming to programs was a significant jump over the previous year, which was a significant jump over 2023. So great news is that people love the library and are using it frequently and enthusiastically. Yesterday was our America 250 birthday story time, and we had story time, we sang, we call them, they're like foil pom-poms, we call them fireworks. So there were fireworks, everyone got to keep their firework, which was incredibly exciting, and then we also had little snacks and a photo area and a raffle. So it was quite an event. We had 115 people. And that is not a particularly unusual number of people coming to drop-in story times, especially when we have programs outside. We had 60 people come to our outdoor sidewalk chalk on Friday, and that was kind of humid and rainy and not the best weather. So still 60 people came out and drew on our sidewalks. So our programs are doing fantastic. This sheet that I just gave out gives you a sense of some of the summer reading programs we're doing for kids. So we have yoga story time. We have a program next week on the biology of owls for middle schoolers with a guest from the Park Service. So we partner with other organizations and institutions. We have some live animals at the end of the month. That program keeps booking up, and we keep on adding a couple more spaces since it's outdoors. But there will be a snake and like a groundhog, some kind of little mammal, and a hawk. So that will be exciting. And then we also have our drop-in story times, and we have teen and adult programs, which don't all fit on one sheet. So to give you a sense of our summer reading, we had our kickoff on the 8th. We had about 400 people come over the course of the day. We did that outside. I painted faces. I lost track of how many faces I painted, but it was a lot of fun. And we had about 375 people register to participate in summer reading that day. And of course, more have been coming in since. And we also have 38 teens who applied to volunteer with us to help with summer reading. And they've been doing a great job. We really like having them come in. There is a table right near our door where people can come and redeem their summer reading time with the teens or register with the teens. And it gives them an opportunity to get volunteering hours, which a lot of them need for school. So it's a great partnership, helps us kind of pad out our staffing availability with some extra teen volunteers. And they help with every other odd and sundry thing too. They were setting up our photo backdrop yesterday morning for story time. They were helping hand out fireworks and wave pom-poms. So they're good sports. And then for adults, we have new book clubs. So we have a nonfiction and mystery book club that adults asked for that we've snuck into our small room because we are running out of space in our large room. We have new and expanding Mahjong pre-plays. We started with Mahjong lessons in the beginning of 2025, and at this point, every Friday, we have 7 or 8 Mahjong games running for 2 hours plus a lesson when our volunteers are willing to do it. They have been incredibly popular. And we, of course, have our long-running knitting and crafting groups, our regular book club, our writers group, our game nights, so all kinds of regular adult programs as well. And we have also been working with a certified special education teacher. So we added a sensory story time to our weekly rotation in the last year, which we're really happy to be able to offer, as well as baby and toddler music time programs, which is all about brain development. And they play instruments as much as babies can play instruments. You know, they kind of hit some things and shake some things. But it's all good for their little tiny brains getting bigger and smarter. And of course, we are, with all of this activity, continuing to work toward expanding the library. We are in the design development phase with the architects, and currently they are doing a lot of talking with the borough of downtown regarding variances and regulations. So kind of a not very glamorous phase right now, not a fancy drawing kind of phase, but very important, making sure that everything complies with local guidelines and expectations. Are there any questions about the library or any of the materials in the packet?
Questions, right?
Well, let's wait. You have more to present, correct?
That was everything I was going to run through, and so I'm here to, respond to anything you want to know more about.
I do have a question then.
Sure.
Am I reading correctly in the letter that the request for the funding for 2027 is a little bit more than the request in 2026?
Yes.
Yes. And then can you explain to me a little bit more about that and how that's being spread about across some of the other municipalities that you serve?
Sure.
Okay.
So basically the Chester County Library System, which we are a member, Chester County Library in Exton is the district center. The goal is to get $5 per capita contribution from all supporting municipalities. Most of ours are at about $3 per capita, which is good. Obviously, with more money, we'll do things like have more programs, get more books, make more things available. And so what I tend to do is look at the census estimate for a given municipality, kind of look at their current contribution level, and then calculate that to say, if you were able to do $325 per person, that's what this number would come from. And that's kind of what we are aiming for with all of our municipalities. So somewhere like Wallace, we would request a smaller amount because there's a small number of people there. But that's kind of what that based on.
Okay. No, because I was just looking at, I pulled some of the data. Is it the total population of the township that you're looking at?
That is what we look at. When it comes to usage, so I do have on this sheet some information about circulation or checkouts. Now, for most of our programs, in the interest of making them as accessible as possible, we don't require people to tell us where they live to come to a program. So, are people from East Brandywine coming to our programs? Yes. But giving you a numerical breakdown of like what percentage, we don't have that data, especially for things like our drop-ins where no registration is necessary. We're not gonna make all of the 2-year-olds and their parents come and write like, which municipality did you come from? So we don't collect that data just to try to make our programs as accessible and fun for everyone as possible.
That's fair. No, I was just looking because we are one of the higher contributors, but kind of midline in the township population of the townships that are represented there, based on some research that I had done.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious, for example, is Euclid or East Bradford gonna up their contributions and things like that?
So Euclid and East Bradford, we share Euclid with the Henrietta Hagen Library.
Okay.
So we are 25% of Euclid's distribution.
Okay.
And then Hagen is 75, which is why you're gonna see a big difference.
That's why
between
there's that
those
big
two.
difference.
And
Okay.
East Bradford is primarily assigned to Westchester Library.
Okay, well, that's helpful.
Yes, so those two specifically are, we are not formally assigned to East Bradford. They support us out of the goodness of their hearts, which we
Okay.
very much appreciate, but that's why you're gonna see a significant difference in contribution amounts.
Okay, so there would be other numbers, for example, for the Henrietta Hankin Library or other libraries
Yes.
that are going to be
Yes.
presented
Yes.
elsewhere. Okay.
So, West Bradford, East Town, those are ones that are 100% assigned to Downingtown Library.
You mean East Brandywine?
Yes,
East
well,
County.
yes, but other ones
East
that
County. Okay.
are also 100% would be West Bradford, East Town, Downingtown Borough. Town, we are 50% with Costa.
Okay.
And then East Brandywine's 100%.
Yes, East Brandywine is all assigned to us.
Okay. That's helpful, thank you. And we are big supporters of the library. Like, my family are big supporters of the library. I just needed to look and understand
yeah.
where these numbers were coming from.
Yes,
Thank you.
I can see your question.
Yes. And then the other category there, what is that? Are those private donations? Are they the 213,000?
So that's private donations. That is also fundraising events.
Okay.
So we have like the D-Town Brew Down in the fall. We have designer deck bag bingo in the spring. So that's all of that money as well. So that the book sales that the friends do. So that's kind of a pot of.
Got it.
It really is other.
Okay.
Miscellaneous.
I appreciate it. Thank you very
Sure.
much.
Yes.
Kyle, you have anything? You still with us?
Nope, no question.
All right,
Yep,
Kyle,
no
thank
question.
you. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time and the good job you're doing at
Thank
the
you.
library.
Yes,
Thank you.
we are, it's summer, so people say, oh, it's summer, you must be relaxing. We're like, no, no.
That's your
When they
busy,
get out of school,
that's
they
your
come
busy
here.
time. Okay, so we're gonna move on to, if it's water required parking determination per 399-108G. Terry O'Neill. Terry, you're up, buddy.
Hello, Francis.
Hi. Hi, Matt.
Matt Bush is here, and he's gonna run with the program because I have no idea what's going
Okay.
on, as usual. But I'll follow up with any direct questions.
Sounds
So if you
good.
don't mind, Matt, the number of spaces is what we're doing.
All right, great.
Right.
All right, Matt.
All right, I don't have a big board or anything, I don't know if everybody has plans, tactics and everything.
If I may just explain what's in front of the board, if it helps you.
Yeah.
In front of them is the Arrow review letter of June 12th, 2026. In front of them is the Cedarville review letter of June 23rd. In front of them is one sheet of the 7 sheets in the stormwater management plan. In particular, it's sheet 2. And also in front of them is a section of code related to off-street parking and loading, which is from Article 15.
And the Cedarville is primarily stormwater.
Correct.
And we're
But all of
working,
those,
this particular scenario.
Yeah.
What we're working on now is the parking, all right?
I can also project those same documents on the screen if you need them.
Okay, thank you. So, again, my name is Matt Bush from JMR Engineering, here representing Terry O'Neill and Water. Terry's looking to put in an 8,000 square foot building here at the rear of the property. So we've been working with the township now for a little while and working with Terry on fine-tuning the plan. So it's been a while in the making, and now it's, coordinating with Lisa and everybody in the township has been helpful, and we've gotten to this point where we're ready to present to the Board of Supervisors. There's a few things in Arrow's letter that they asked the Board of Supervisors to comment on or approve. One is just the use, and Terry can kind of elaborate on the proposed use some more, but my understanding is it's an extension of his existing business, which is, I guess, pool maintenance, equipment maintenance related to pool supplies, things like that. So there's a small component of office space within this new 8,000 square foot building, but mostly it's just going to be storage. So with that being said, we're proposing there's existing parking on site that is about
19.
19 spaces. We're proposing 8 spaces as part of this. So because this kind of falls into the specialty shop use, there's no specific requirement in the township's zoning code. So we're here today to, working with Terry. Terry doesn't want to build something that is inadequate for his proposed use and his proposed small expansions of the property. So we feel like the 27 spaces that we are providing are more than adequate. Again, it doesn't fit into a neat box of something that the township has, a use that the township has. I think you could look at it as office space and maybe, warehouse space, which in other municipalities I've seen be classified as a requirement of 1 space per 1,000 square feet. In that case, we would have a surplus of 3 or 4 spaces. I've seen people look at it as, how many employees will you have on the maximum shift. Terry's told me as we've been coordinating this process that, he expects 8 total employees on the whole site. So again, 8 total employees, 27 spaces, we feel like that is more than adequate for the needs that he has for his business. The parking is kind of the main thing. I guess I'll touch on a couple other things that are in the Arrow letter that Arrow asked the board to weigh in on. One is the emergency access, and I believe that working with the fire chief and East Brandywine and Lisa, that we've gotten that to a point where the fire chief is comfortable with the layout of the plan as is. So I guess my interpretation of Sergio being okay with our plan would be that the emergency access is adequate from this standpoint. And then the last thing is the adequacy of the existing 50-foot access easement. So there's an existing access easement kind of on the north side of the property that serves some residential dwellings behind this property, and that access is proposed to be expanded as part of this project. And looking through the access easement myself and reviewing with Terry, we feel that the existing easement that's in place and the language that is in place is adequate for and still applicable to this expansion. So again, I'm not sure to what extent the board needs to weigh in on that, but it was mentioned in the Arrow letter. So to me, the biggest things are the use as a specialty shop and then the adequacy of the parking that we're proposing. So if the board has any questions for Terry or myself, we could certainly answer anything.
Luke, did you want to weigh in with regards to the use? I think we were landing somewhere as an industrial warehouse use, is that correct?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. When in your presentation you referenced the number of employees on the maximum shift, and while we didn't discuss, I will mention for the record, the addition is 8,000 square feet.
Yes.
That leads me to believe that your design assumption was that the most appropriate match for the uses described in our code is that described as industrial or warehouse, which is 399-108D. The requirements for this type of use is one space for each employee on the shift at greatest employment. The answer to that question is 8. So what would satisfy D1 would be 8 parking spaces. The second part of that is, or one space for every 500 square feet. Now, I think that the existing plus the new is, I've done that math. Do you happen to know what the total square footage of the 8,000 plus existing is?
I think it's a total of 12,000 square feet.
Okay, so if we just run that math real quick here.
24.
So based on, again, if the board were so to determine that the closest proximate use described in our code is industrial or warehouse, the required parking based on the square foot would be 24 spaces, and you provided 28.
27.
27. I stand corrected. Was that your design assumptions?
Initially, when we first presented this as a sketch plan, we did look at it that way. And ultimately, the design assumptions just came down to Terry's use of the property and how his existing business operates and how he plans on utilizing the property in the future. So, you know, his need for parking was less than, you know, this industrial requirement in the township. So, you know, I think it would be appropriate to apply that, you know, based on, you know, I think it could certainly be classified as a, you know, industrial, and, you know, and the practicality of it is also that it's more than enough spaces than what Terry actually needs.
Yeah. And I think we realize that you don't have customers coming in and out of the door on a regular basis. It's not a coffee shop or anything like that, so.
And the other reality is too, is that we don't have parking across the whole frontage of this new 8,000 square foot building. There's garage bays there. You know, in reality, people can, you know, park in front of those garage doors if they needed to. So, you know, that would be another additional, I don't know, 8 spaces or something like that, in addition to the 27 that we're proposing.
But it sounds like the 27 meets the code anyway for the industrial use, industrial and warehouse use based on the square footage, correct?
I don't want to speak for the board. If we presuppose that the board's best fit for this use, which is not explicitly described in our code, is that warehouse use, then the parking shown on the plan, it would be adequate.
Yeah.
I think for the purposes of just ruling out some other potential categories, I think 2 other come to mind. One would be retail and the other would be office. To kind of help split the difference there, what would be a typical number of customers that would visit the site in a day? To my estimation, that doesn't sound like retail.
No, yeah, like Terry said, there's not really a strong customer.
There's no foot traffic.
So then let me ask another question about what percentage of the total square footage would be just a traditional office space?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the new building, we've got maybe 20%, and on the existing office, or the existing building, I'd say is 30%, something like that. That's just me doing the math rough in my head, but again, he has office space, but there's not a lot of employees that are doing that, and some of the employees are even the warehouse areas as well. So that's why I think the way you presented it initially, with the just kind of applying the industrial to the total square footage, is probably the most appropriate, because you're going to have employees that are in the office, but those are the same employees that are working in the warehouse. It's not like you have just from the box employees, and you have employees that are also in the warehouse. If you have 8 full employees, they're kind of just bouncing around to both spaces. So that's why I think the appropriate the industrial use would be an appropriate application here.
And do you have any plans to lease out any of your office space to anybody else, or are you going to use it all internal?
No, if I could, no, there's no plans. This is for me.
Okay.
We do have a 20-year history in front of us, and everybody's aware that what we're discussing is immediately adjacent to the firehouse. You got me, Bill? So we have a 20-year history. We never used our parking lot completely. It's that simple.
Yeah.
We're not adding more employees. We need places to put our tools, our equipment. Are we going to grow? Yeah, we're going to grow. And in 5 years, I might have, instead of 8 or 9 employees, I might have 10 or 11. But it's not going to change stuff. So the 19 parking spaces we have right now are more than adequate. We're adding 7 more. I don't see where this should be an issue. Just for the record, our lot is never filled up. We know there's days I pull into my shop and there are no parking spaces. It's full. I can't find a parking space. Why? Because my friendly neighbor, the fire department, they move over there. So if there's this concern, and I understand what Luke's trying to do and everybody's trying to do is put me in some sort of category. And that's okay, I get that. There is a category for growing marijuana that I find kind of interesting there. Item bid. But anyhow, and how many parking spaces you need if I'm going to start growing marijuana? I don't think we're going to do that immediately, or I'm not going to say that in front of the chief of police. But there shouldn't be a problem with parking. There really shouldn't. I don't know what category I fall into. When I try to describe my business, it's almost impossible to do. Most of the days, the guys come in, get their stuff, and they're going all day.
Okay.
Do people stop in? Yes, they stop in. Sales reps stop in to call on us. So how do we accommodate for them? As I said, we have a 20-year history of not filling up my lot.
All right, so the action item then is the determination that we're leaning towards is the industrial and warehouse use, and the appropriate parking space required for that is 24. You have 27. I think you meet that requirement this time. So what is our action item at this point?
So I'm going to read directly from the code. The code reads other uses, and this is the reference in the Arrow zoning officer. Other uses, the Board of Supervisors shall determine which of the preceding categories of parking regulation any unlisted use shall comply. We have worked our way down that list and had 3 initial potential categories. That was, is it a retail? Is it a office? Or is it a warehouse use? In my capacity as the manager, not as the zoning officer, or my recommendation to the Board of Supervisors is that we elect the warehouse use as the most appropriate match for what actually happens at this property. I will leave the precise determination up to the zoning officer. However, my back of the napkin math based on the criteria here in D1 for the greatest shift of employment and the total square footage is that the 27 spaces shown on the plan in front of you would be adequate.
Okay, so at this time, are we voting on anything? Tom?
I think to make it part of the public record,
Yeah,
someone
so
should
then
make a motion that the board makes a determination that the parking for the proposed use of, 2090 Bondsville Road is an industrial use, and I think the zoning ordinance section is 399-108D1. Is that right, Luke?
Correct. And I would have one friendly amendment to that, and that is to note, while the greatest shift described in testimony here today was 8, this election does put a ceiling on that, and it would be 27. We're quite a ways off, but I do think it's important to note for the record that one limitation of the parking could be is if you ever had 27 employees that you might need additional spaces.
All right, so I'm going to try and formulate a motion here so that we approve the use at 2090 Bondsville Road under sections 399-108D as an industrial warehouse use, and the adequate parking shown on the plan of 27 spaces meets the requirement. Does that sound right?
I think it's D1.
D1.
Yeah.
Yes, D1, I'm sorry.
He doesn't want to grow medical marijuana.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to lump those two together. All right, so it's D1. Okay, so that's the motion on the board. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. What's the next item related to this? Is there anything else that we need to take action on?
As indicated in the arrow letter, there is a second reference for the board to opine on, and that has to do with internal circulation. I will admit that this is the first such referral to the board for this matter, so I'm kind of ignorant on how this should work. I will ask the question: Is there an easement in favor of the property to the rear?
Yes.
Is that an easement being amended as part of the building permit?
No, there's no plans to amend it. We think it's adequate as is.
I have no comment. I don't. Tom, do you have anything to? Should this be the form of a motion or?
If we're talking about section 399-82C1, I believe that is referring to, let's say, a development like Giant. And we have to make sure there are easements and fire lanes in order to get in and out of that development. I'm not sure it's referring to the easement that accesses the residential properties in the rear. But I think Matt indicated that they've consulted with the fire chief, and the fire chief is satisfied with the design of the development and presumably the access to the residential lots. And 399-82C1 says the design of such fire lane easement shall be approved by the Board of Supervisors upon the recommendation of the East Brandywine Fire Company. Okay. I understand you have that recommendation, so I think it would be appropriate to consider a motion to approve the fire lane and fire access easement as drawn on the plan.
Okay, I'll make a motion that
Just to be clear though, we don't have any specific or explicit fire lane access easement. It's more just the circulation of the plan is adequate for emergency access.
Right.
That's correct. And you have a letter from the fire chief. Yeah, and that's fine.
Have we seen the letter? Do we need that letter?
Well, he'll provide that.
He'll provide it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, so the motion then is to approve the circulation as shown on the plan for 2090 Bondsville Road under section 399-82C1 as adequate by the Board of Supervisors. Second?
Can we add something about the letter too?
Yeah, that the letter from the fire chief will accompany the final approvals.
I'll second.
All right. Kyle, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Tom, for explaining 399-82C1. My reference was actually 399-82B relative to a common driveway.
Okay.
Hence my question about easements.
Oh, so there's actually two sections that both require the Board of Supervisors.
One about interior circulation, the other about a shared driveway across the parcel.
Yeah,
Which has been in place forever.
right, so I think you can make a similar motion that the board approves the access easement to the residential properties
All right,
to the
so
west.
I'll make a motion that on the plan related to 2090 Bondsville Road, section 399-42G, the shared access as shown on the plan is adequate.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, friendly amendment. We are not talking about 399-82B.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, I'm up here, 399, I'm looking at it.
It's a reference to.
Oh, God, I'm sorry, 399-82B. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think that covers everything, right? All right, guys.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
appreciate it.
Good luck. You got this. We won't need to see you again. Enjoy your summer. Okay. We will move on to the next agenda item C, proposal for security cameras and server upgrade. Derek?
Good morning, members of the board. In recent weeks, we have experienced increasing issues with our security camera system, including loss of video from 3 cameras. Pavion was contacted to assess the situation, and their evaluation determined that the existing server supporting our camera system has exceeded its useful lifespan and is no longer capable of reliable communicating with the cameras. Notably, the server is currently operating on Windows 7, and its last update dates back to 2014. As additional cameras begin to fail, our ability to restore and maintain video coverage will be significantly impacted. The current system also includes 7 analog cameras and 4 IP cameras utilizing analog audio recording. These components will become obsolete with the implementation of a modernized server. The 4 cameras are particularly critical to the police department operations as they are located in interview rooms and the holding cells as well. Included in your packet is a proposal from Pavion outlining a comprehensive system upgrade. The proposed project includes replacement of the existing server with a fully IP-capable system, removal and replacement of 7 analog cameras, replacement of 4 IP cameras currently using analog audio with full IP-based models, the installation of 1 dual-lens camera and 2 4-channel exterior cameras, and also the installation of a new server rack. To reduce the overall cost, certain IP cameras being replaced by multi-lens units will be reinstalled to replace the existing analog cameras. Additionally, the Public Works Department will perform any necessary cabling associated with the analog camera replacements. And while this project was not anticipated as part of the current year's budget, funding was allocated for other aging infrastructure improvements, specifically HVAC repairs. And given the critical importance of maintaining a reliable security system for the protection of our buildings, staff, and residents, I recommend reallocating these funds to address the immediate need for this upgrade. Funding would be drawn from the capital budget, specifically line items 409.0C02 for the amount of $22,750, and also line item 409.C06 in the amount of $17,500. The total available funds are $40,250. Also, Pavion is a proprietary provider of our current system and is also a registered CoStarz vendor. Their contract number 040-E23-193 is included in your packet for reference. The total proposed cost for this upgrade is $38,993.59, which falls within the available budget. I respectfully recommend that the board approve the proposal from Pavion, the amount of $38,993.59, to ensure continued reliability and effectiveness of our security infrastructure.
All right, so what you're saying then is that this is sort of an emergency, in a sense.
Yeah, we currently have 3 cameras that will not communicate with our
Okay.
server.
And that we're gonna reallocate budgeted funds from the maintenance portion of the budget,
That's correct.
and that will go, be used to resolve the issue related to this emergency scenario that we currently have.
Correct. It would bring our system up to date. Everything would be full IP, no audio.
So the maintenance funding that was in place was for what, HVAC?
Yeah, there's needed HVAC, our air handler control units, the control boards for them, and also our VAV controllers are also obsolete at this point. And if things start acting up or breaking, there are no parts to remedy that situation as well.
Okay, so at this time, we're not engaging the repairs of the HVAC system because it hasn't failed yet.
Correct, everything is working
Okay,
currently.
so then that budgeted funding can go into next year's budget?
Yes, I'll revisit it with this
Okay.
upcoming budget.
Because obviously the
season.
funds are going to be used, and if something were to happen with the HVAC system, then we're going to have another emergency.
The VAVs are critical to our building, but if one were to go down, there are ways to work around it. And
And keep the system operating.
Correct.
Until we can find funding to,
I feel, and I think it's a consensus of other administration, that the cameras are important. If the jail cameras were to go down, they have no way of recording what's going on in there. And it could cause issues.
If I may, the recommendation was made in consultation with police leadership and administrative staff. A reminder of staff spending authority, it is up to $10,000 for budgeted items. This flunks both tests. This is a substitution for a budgeted item, and it is in excess of $10,000. In addition to that, as it relates to procurement rules, Derek's presentation referenced the CoStar's price. We're buying this on state contract.
okay.
If I may, when appropriate. There's a reference in this proposal, it's on the second to the last page, to the second to the last page you have, and it says Pavion's terms and conditions for this proposal are available at www.pavion.com legal. I took a look at those briefly, and the board should know that there are rather onerous terms in there that are all in favor of a vendor. The only warranty on these products and their work is a 90-day warranty. Though if the product is defective or something was wrong with the installation, Pavion will come in and replace it and reinstall it. That lasts for 90 days. After that, basically, we have nothing. So I don't know whether this is this an existing contractor with the township?
That's correct. We have a service contract with Pavion.
And we've had a good experience with them, I presume.
I would say overall, yes. Opinions may vary.
But in any event, for example, there's an indemnification clause in the standard terms. It says, even if Pavion is negligent, we have to indemnify them from any kind of loss that occurs. Now, I can understand that Pavion does not want to be liable for some kind of event that occurs. I understand these cameras they're in cells, or is that what they're doing? So obviously they don't want to be liable for something that happens in the cell. We understand that. But I'm not saying you shouldn't enter into this. You should just be aware that that is about all we get, the 90 days, and that's it.
Do we have the ability or the time to maybe negotiate a more fair set of terms with them, or are they pretty?
I would not know that offhand. It's something I could request, but I'm assuming if it's part of their written agreement, then those are their terms.
Well, it seems to me that we may want to get that clarified as to what, what further protections do we like to seek in this contract. Correct, Tom?
Right, I mean, I don't want to leave here without you knowing what's in here, and I didn't want to spend any time negotiating it if you don't want to negotiate.
Yeah.
But I believe it's appropriate to at least try to get 2 or 3 things from them, including if you're negligent or you do something intentionally, we're not indemnifying you.
Yeah.
That's on you. That's just one example.
Okay.
Or I would like them to fix it if they do something negligent
Right.
or something like that, not put it on the township.
All right, so it sounds like we're going to table this until some of these questions that were brought up by Tom related to this contract are resolved.
One more quick question too, because we're talking about the contract in front of us. The excluded from the project, there's a lot of things in there, from the drawings and the files and the infrastructure and the backups and things like that. Are those things that we are just absorbing, or are they things we don't need? Are they things, it's on the,
Where,
pretty
like
much the
cable
last-
procurement
no,
and installation?
over one more, there, yep.
Okay.
All of that. Are there things that we're absorbing, or we just don't need them?
Well, I can, while Derek is reading the section, I will point out that some of the work converting analog to digital cameras involves substituting what is cable for S video for cable that is network, and that will be done in-house.
Right.
Correct.
I just wanted to make sure that that's what was on this page and it wasn't, like, I don't think we probably need AutoCAD plan and drawing files. That doesn't make sense to me that you would need that for this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we need that. So that's was part of my question is it just things that we don't need or absorbing, or are there things that we need over here that we're gonna have to ask for? Do you know what I'm
The
saying?
comment related to engineering is specific to permit application if they have to apply for permitting.
Right, I'm talking about the next page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's two exclusions.
To answer your question, there's a lot of that stuff's already in existence.
Okay.
Like the conduit, the
Yes.
boxes, and we are the ones installing the cable, so.
Okay.
The paint and touch up for
Yeah.
when you're running the cable, you might have to drill holes, but we're already agreed to do that portion of the
Okay.
work.
So it's included, it's just we are doing it.
We're including it.
Yes,
That's fair.
It-
Okay.
They're not.
That's fine. And then is this an imminent failure at this point, or is it, are things?
So the failure's already begun. As Derek mentioned, we've lost 3 cameras around the on-site facility here. It's hard to surmise when the next camera would go, but they're obviously dropping. Our major concerns are our in-cell liability cameras and our interview interrogation room cameras. We feel like we've been working around the 3 failed cameras well because they're exterior building employee areas. But if one of the primary cameras I mentioned go out, it opens to some liability for the PD and township. I also think it warrants mentioning, we've been using this company for quite a few years without any issues with repairs. They've been responsive. They've come out, fixed something. We've had an issue. They've come out free of charge. So we do have an existing relationship that has been beneficial, and we've worked together quite well.
Okay, well, it just sounds like we need to address the concerns brought up by Tom.
And I'll try to get something accomplished before your PM meeting this month, so we can put it on the agenda then.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so we will move on to item D. Bid award recommendations for 2026 road program. Derek?
Yes. So the township received 3 bids for the 2026 paving project through the Penn Bid e-bid exchange. All submissions were reviewed and evaluated by Cedarville Engineering Group. The bid package submitted by Long's Asphalt Incorporated was found to be complete with all required documentation and references satisfactorily provided. Copies of the bid tabulations and CEG's formal recommendation have been included for the board's review. Based on CEG's evaluation, Long's Asphalt Incorporated has been identified as the lowest responsible bidder, submitting a base bid in the amount of $551,090.16. There was also an alternate work section that I've asked to be included with the bid to assess the feasibility of completing additional improvements within the project's budget. And this alternate was not considered in determining the lowest bidder. The proposed alternate involves upgrading the treatment of Summerhill Road from a double chip seal to a fabric and asphalt overlay. While the existing roadway is in relatively good condition and a chip seal would extend its useful life, the overlay option provides several additional benefits, including restoration of a proper crown in the roadway, improved surface drainage, enhanced ride quality, and extension of pavement life to near new condition. The associated cost with this alternate work is $34,167.98, resulting in a total project cost of $585,258.14 if included. The line items to produce the funds would be the capital budget 438.C111 for the amount of $418,448, and also the line item from the state's liquid fuels budget 35.439.72 in the amount of $180,000. Total available budget for this project is $598,448. Excuse me. So the total cost of $585,258.14, inclusive of the alternate work, remains $13,189 under the approved budget. In consideration of the competitive bid results, engineering review, and available funding, I am asking that the Board of Supervisors consider awarding the 2026 paving project contract to Long's Asphalt Incorporated. The total amount is $585,258.14, including the Summerhill Road overlay alternate. Respectfully submitted, Derek Claus.
Okay, so I think with regards to this project, it's been budgeted, it's been in the works, for a while. I guess the only questions, and I think I've spoken to you about this, in the future, I think we're going to have to look at milling these roads before we keep layering blacktop on top of them, because I think this is, I think the third go around on North Buck Road, and what's the other road that we're?
The other road for overlay would be Crawford, and then possibly Summerhill.
So it's it's in the future, but I think you're going to look at possibly milling some of these roads the next time they get paid, because they just keep getting built up and built up and built up, and you understand obviously what it does to drainage as you keep building these up. These are open areas and not a lot of driveways coming onto them because they're going through the conservation area, but it still creates other issues as they tie into existing driveways and so forth. The other question that I had was, and this came from some of my neighbors, is do we need to have the double lines put on our country roads? They were used to the conservation area and the roads not having the double lines, Crawford, and this road, and I guess somewhere along the lines they got painted. So if we need to have them from the standpoint of requirements, and if we don't, we could save the money not putting those lines in. So that was one other thing I wanted to just bring up.
So as far as the double yellow line, I believe we started striping our roads in 2015. So they've had stripes. It could have been a little bit later, maybe 2017. I can't quite remember. But they're legally not necessary, I could say. But I would think with the growing population of the township, the roads are more easily navigated at nighttime. And I think if the residents and overall public are accustomed to having those lines and then they suddenly go away indefinitely, I feel like it could pose a safety problem. Okay. That's my stance on the yellow line.
I just wanted to bring it up so that the neighbors on North Buck Road and Crawford Road can understand why they're there.
I understand. I feel people don't find them aesthetically pleasing, like people that might live on the adjacent property.
Yeah, and it's primarily the long-term residents that are used to that country atmosphere that's been there and has been preserved. And then, you know, the lines come down, it looks like a super highway now. And so that was the comment that I received from some of the neighbors. So,
As far as milling in the future, I do agree. Some of the roads, like Summer Hill, for instance, was only paved once for that road when it was built in 1996. So the pavement is aging on that, but in still good condition. North Buck was last paved in 2007. I don't have a record of previous paving, just oil and chip, and that was from, I think, 94 or 84. I can't quite remember that number. But.
all right, that's all I have for comments. Do you have anything in?
I have a quick question. So the bid price that we were given, is that what they have to hold to regardless? Because I know in the past, there was one time when it came back and said, well, we misquoted and we want an increase. Will they have to live with this bid price that they gave us?
There are clauses in place, I believe, for the cost of asphalt. If it were to go up due to rising oil concerns and things like that, then they are able to adjust the price in that fashion.
But it's specific to specific portions of this proposal and this bid. So some of the other things that, because I'm just looking and the bids were interesting and that different companies charge different amounts for the different line items, which I guess is not surprising, but the difference in price was surprising to me. So as long as it's not related to the cost of gas or asphalt or things like that, they have to live with the prices that they provided.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and they also have two other, if you look at line items 12 and 13, there's a bid price for extra excavation and extra structural fill. But it is typical in these contracts to have escalators for the cost of asphalt, which, considering the cost of fuel, is who knows?
But aside from that, they have to live with the
Correct.
budget. Okay.
Unless they submit a change order that we would have to approve.
I think we had that situation with someone didn't measure the pipe length or something.
That's what it was, yes.
And had to increase because of the lack of material accounted for, but, all right, so we should be,
If you would also, I'm sorry, look at line item 10, there's also $15,000 for incurred costs and things like that. So there's a little bit of cushion, and that is figured in with the cost currently.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kyle, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. All right, so do I get a motion to approve the bid award recommended for 2026 road program in the amount of $585,258.14
To Long's Asphalt.
to Long's Asphalt.
And while your dollar amount references it, I'll just say, for the purposes of the motion, it's the base bid and the alternate.
Okay, so to include, total cost is $585,258.14 inclusive of the alternate work. Correct? All right, do I get a second on that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
The next item is the subdivision and zoning applications. There are none. Ordinances and resolutions for consideration. A, permission to advertise ordinance amending the code of East Brandywine Township, Chapter 300 and 399 pertaining to data center uses. This is on eastbrandywine.org. There is a draft. Luke?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At last night's meeting of the Planning Commission recommended to the Board of Supervisors that you advertise for adoption the draft changes to chapters 300 and 399 related to the use of data centers. As you may recall, there were presentations made at the AM meetings of the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors last month. We received many comments. We also, after soliciting the county for comments, received a County 247 letter. I want to say thank you to all those who took the time to suggest changes to the language. Those have all been reviewed and appreciated. However, at this time, it is the recommendation of the Planning Commission to proceed immediately to adopting the ordinance as is, and at a later time, consider these valuable suggestions. So at this time, I'm respectfully asking the board to advertise for adoption at your PM meeting in July, the draft changes to chapters 300 and 399 of the East Brandywine Township Code.
Okay. Are there any questions related to permission to advertise? I believe that's the action item that we're working on here today.
Just a clarification question. When you said the planning commission will take into account the comments from the residents at a later date, it will be soon, correct? It's not like we're going to table this for a significant period of time.
To the extent that I can speak for them and their agenda, that is my understanding, yes.
Just to clarify. Yes.
I work for them, not the other way around, but that is my understanding.
Understood.
Kyle, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So at this point, we'll have a motion to advertise the ordinance amending the code of the East Brandywine Township, Chapter 300 and 399 pertaining to data center uses. Do I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so at this time, we have public comment on non-agenda items.
Hi,
Yes.
I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself. I'm Francine Dake, and I am the president of the Board of Trustees of the Downingtown Library. I recently moved here to Brandywine Walk along with my husband, former Mayor Phil Dake, some of you may know. We are loving it here, and I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work at the library. We now have 4 current residents of East Brandywine on the Board of Trustees, and we're possibly bringing on a 5th this month. So I just wanted to say hello, and thank you for all your hard work.
It's nice meeting you.
Nice
Thank you
meeting
so
you.
much. Yes, appreciate your work. Are there any other comments for non-agenda items? Seeing none. Notices. There was no executive session held prior to this meeting. Do I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.